Hello students, welcome back to the Art Studio. Today we're going to talk about line and shape. Line and shape are two examples of elements of art. All of those include line, shape, value, color, form, texture, and space. Whether you know it or not, all of your projects that you've done from kindergarten up until this point have been focused on studying, practicing one of those ideas. Today we're going to talk about it in a very academic sort of way so that we understand the ideas behind it. So I'm going to start out by putting my name, first name, last name, and the period in which I'm a student. Yours probably will be a little bit different. So we're going to go ahead and get started. So when we talk about lines, I think we need some examples. So we're going to draw 7 different vertical lines in the box. We're going to use several different mediums, including pens, pencils, markers, and if you like, you can use brushes. But I'm going to work fast and keep this simple right now. So I like to start with this one. This is like a studio marker. And I'm going to start with that line. So if I hold my marker, that chisel tip a certain way, I can get a very broad mark. I can open up the other end, and these markers can also make a thin line. So think about the describing words that you use when you're making these lines. Thick and thin. Those are two very obvious ones. Now if you want to pause the video and do 7 on your own and be creative, you can do that. If you want to follow along and be safe with me and copy what I'm doing, you're free to do that as well. It's your choice. So I'm going to go to like one of our drawing pencils from the classroom, and I'm going to make just a wavy line. Very simple. And this was just a random pen that I found laying around the studio. I'm not even sure where it came from, but it's a pink felt tip marker. It's not really my style, but when I need a variety of mediums, it's perfect. Even this pen will work just fine. Now this is a technical drawing pencil. Drawing pen. They're really nice. This is really old. I've had it for a long time. I think I'll be very sad when these run out of ink. So I have my twisting line, my broken line or dashed line. How about a dotted line? Now I need one more. How about a good old zigzag? You can think geometrically, you can think of arcs. Arcs are a good example of a special type of line. So that brings us to the next idea. Let's move down here. There are 2 important types of lines. So let's start to categorize every line. One is man-made and measurable. That would be geometric. Geometric lines are very easy to measure. This one is close. If I really wanted it to be geometric, I probably would have gotten a straight edge and used my tools so that it wasn't natural, like the natural mark of my hand. I would have forced it into a straight line using a tool that helps me. Now the opposite of that would be organic. Now when I think of organic, I don't necessarily think of art. I think of a grocery store where they have all of those foods that are free from pesticides, where they're all natural. I feel like that's where I have a knowledge of organic. It's natural. It's not really touched by our human hands. It's a natural flow. So this is kind of free-form, flowing, natural, organic. This would be an example of an organic line. This one really isn't measurable. Each one of these kind of follows a pattern, but they're all unique. So organic lines form the outside of shapes. Lines are made from a variety of tools. So you can see that right there. We've gone through 4 just in talking about line. Line is so important. So let's move on. Let's also talk about shape today. Now, I mentioned there were going to be those 2 important categories. Now, we've talked about them. We've talked about geometric and organic. So geometric, those are the shapes that you know, that you love, the ones that you've learned probably before preschool, the ones that were on your Baby Einstein videos when you were just a teeny, tiny tyke. So the ones that you know, a square, a very familiar shape, a triangle. If you want to come up with a few examples and fill out your rectangle, you don't have to copy my ideas. Just draw your geometric shapes. Circle, my best attempt at an oval. A diamond. So let's move on. Organic. Organic would be something that you might see in nature. It could be something that really doesn't follow the rules. Like a nebula, that would be nebulous. That would be like a one-celled organism like an amoeba. That also, artists would call that curvilinear line, curvilinear shape. Just a boulder. Any boulder that you might see outside, make sure you have a nice clean ending. That doesn't look so smooth. I might touch that up. And maybe even a flower. So, if I drew in the rest of the details, I could probably make that look like a rose. So when I look at this, I might make a mental image of another object. Now that's actually our next category, abstract. Now I love teaching this lesson because the first time I ever taught this lesson, I started drawing this shape and I had a really energetic class, and they had an idea right away. They knew exactly what I was drawing. And someone shouted out, "It's a banana!" And that hurt a little bit. That hurt a little bit. Hopefully, you can imagine a front door, some windows, like the outside form of a house. I think that's a really simple shape. So the form of a house is really complex, but you can kind of simplify it into this shape, and we recognize that as what adults call like a normal old salt box type house. So then I said, okay, and I drew that, and they said, it's a moon. I said, no, I was drawing your banana. Oh, I just can't win sometimes. Life is so complex. So we have some notes here. Shape is 2D. We were talking about the house and the form. Form is 3-dimensional. When we simplify that and flatten it down onto a piece of paper, that's an example of a 2D image. I want you to also think about This is should be a familiar term. I know you've talked about this in the past. The space behind an object isn't only called the background, but it's also called the negative space. Negative space. Now think about that. If you want to, you can come through with your marker and fill in those spaces. Space not filled by the positive objects. I'm not trying to be perfect. A little diagram. Go ahead and get that background filled in. I like how rich and bold that color is. That's a great marker. Well, today we've talked about line and shape. We're going to do some other videos later, but I'm going to try and keep them in shorter chunks. So I hope you enjoyed that. We'll be back again to talk about the elements at another time. See you soon. Bye-bye.